Cosatu in the Western Cape says it's disappointed after the provincial government failed to receive their memorandum of grievances.
So after nationwide demonstrations led by Cosatu today over issues including load shedding, the poor state of the economy and high levels of crime.
The Cape Town leg of the Cosatu Action Day strike has come to an end. They marched to the provincial legislature to hand over this memorandum of grievances. However, they were snubbed as no official from the provincial legislature came out to accept it.
That is to show that they don't care about us. They don't care, and they showed us the middle finger today. But what we have said, we will go back to them.
It is unfortunate that a small group who chose to form part of the Cosatu march today departed from the provincial legislature before the scheduled time at midday when they were due to hand over the memorandum to me. I urge Cosatu to send their memorandum to our office, as at this stage we have not received a copy of their request. As the provincial government, we are open to engaging all entities should they have the best interest of the people at heart.
Here are some of the key challenges that Cosatu wants government to address through this nationwide strike.
We are involved in this march of Cosatu on the basis that at the core of it is a call for all spheres of government, provincial and national, to abandon the present neoliberal austerity trajectory, which is responsible for the present state of affairs.
When asked about Cosatu's affiliation to the ANC, which is the ruling party, this is what they had to say.
We are an alliance partner, but however, we are all independent. So if government is failing us, we must talk. We must strike if we have to. There is engagement at the national level, there is engagement at the network level as well, with government and all different stakeholders. But it's quite clear we don't get the desired outcomes out of those meetings. It doesn't mean because we are alliance partners, we must have arms folded.
Their last stop was Parliament, where the memorandum of grievances was accepted by a staff member from the office of the Speaker of the National Assembly. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Team Tongana in Cape Town.
For more on this, we're joined by independent economic analyst, Professor Bonke Dumisa. A very good evening to you, Professor. Grateful for your time. So, this is just the latest mass demonstration program led by the Trade Union Federation. Cosatu, many people who were commenting from the sidelines said they were underwhelmed by the showing. Were you just as underwhelmed?
I actually agree with those that the whole thing was underwhelmed instead of being overwhelmed. There are very few people who participated at that, and at one Cosatu house gathering, there were about 100 people. But let us not really state this then as a disappointment for Cosatu. The issues that they were raising, many of them were legitimate issues that do need to be raised. The only problem, the major problem, is that they were raising these issues using a wrong instrument.
What do you mean by that?
We have an economy that is really struggling under load shedding, and so many businesses are not really producing at their level best, and because of that, they are going to have less profits, if any profits, and it means they'll pay less taxes to the government. And if you take those very same people who are already underperforming because of load shedding, and you say you are taking them out to protest and spend the whole day protesting against load shedding and unemployment and the rising cost of employment of unemployment or of rising cost of living, what you are effectively doing by taking them out is you are increasing those very same things that you want to see being removed. So they were using a wrong. Yes, the socio-economic rights are catered for under the Labor Relations Act, so they can go out on strike for that, but it was not the right time for them to do this thing. And that's why many people simply said Cosatu is just flexing its muscles just to be seen how relevant they can be.
If a mass action program is not the right instrument then to raise these issues, to put pressure on government, what would be the correct means to do so, especially if they want to get results?
Cosatu is part of NETLEC, and many of these things are discussed at NETLEC between business, government, and labor. Why don't they really push those things? And then some of their things cannot be met by government. You must remember this is a government which is operating at a 400 billion rand budget deficit, even though our budget is over 1 trillion rands. So when you say you want government to pay you more, where will they get this money from? And then when you're talking about unemployment, you say the unemployment is very high. Yes, it's very high. The expanded definition of unemployment is over 42%. But the very same things that Cosatu and trade unions insist on, which keep on pushing their salaries, when many people are unemployed, it means businesses are going to employ less people. So that's why I'm saying they were using the wrong instrument to fight the right things.
What is the duty, though, of government, given these multiple problems in the country, multiple crises? Because, as you acknowledged at the beginning of the conversation, these are all very real issues that affect South Africans at different levels, but the working class and the poor are the ones suffering most from the impact of the power crisis, from issues around crime and a shaky economy.
It is not only the low-paid workers who are suffering from this. It is those 42.2% unemployed people who are not getting anything. At least these ones are able to demand and get over 6% salary increase from an economy that is avoiding a technical recession. So we must not really exaggerate these things, because if ever you keep on crying wolf, the day you really have the real wolf, people are not going to take you seriously. And this is exactly what the trade unions are doing this time.
So I wonder, with that in mind then, Professor Dumisa, if it's a series of protests perhaps led by the unemployed that would ultimately make the most difference in this country, because for many years now we've been warned that unemployment is worsening, especially among young South Africans, and something is going to have to give if change is not brought about, and not brought about soon.
You do not need protests to create employment in South Africa. You need to change the whole education system. The problem is that our education system, from primary level, high school to university, is not producing the type of products that are fit for purpose for industry. So let us change our education system and stop people going to memorize the things which were found 500 years ago.
How do we continue with that conversation, Prof, pardon me, of changing the education system to ensure that the children of the future come out of the system empowered to be able to put food on the table, right? When you consider that the current education system is struggling to get the mere basics right, when you look at the levels of maths and literacy skills, there is still a major problem at that point. So how do you then even begin to revolutionize the system to make it relevant to today and the future when we can't read or write?
That's exactly my point. We are saying that's why many students move to Maths Lit, which does not really help them. Let us pay the teachers who teach maths the scarce skills levels, and the trade unions are against that. Let us go on and do the thing. A small country like Rwanda is doing very well because what Paul Kagame says goes, it becomes law. Maybe, I'm not saying we must have a benevolent dictator in South Africa, but I think we're just giving in to many things which are wrong. I mean, I heard an MEC of Education saying that he is going to negotiate with the construction mafia. And that is my old school, Men's High School. You cannot have a situation like that. And that's why education is affected, because when you want to add a number of classes, but you've got construction mafias disrupting there, you need to show that the government cannot stand lawlessness. Full stop. No negotiation with thieves or people who are criminals. The same thing as when teachers do not deliver in class. Why is it that you have schools in the very same vicinity, the former Model C schools, really delivering, and yet the schools in our townships are not delivering? It means something is not being done correctly. Let us correct those things without fearing that if ever we take a strong stand, then we are going to be booed, and the people of the trade unions are going to say all the bad things about us.
Professor Bonke Dumisa, good to have your thoughts tonight. Thank you for your time.